So this is a video on the fitment of the Bullshift aluminium pannier system to the BMW R1250GS. I bought them from Bullshift. I'll put the link in the description below. £687, and that's all in. That's the top box, the panniers and the frame. It's fantastic value for money and the quality is amazing. I'd also like to add that Ian at Bullshift could not have been any more helpful with the customer services, so full marks there, fantastic. So I'll do my best to describe how to get them fitted to the GS, and any questions just pop them in the chat below. For this part of the fitment you'll need a key, a T40 star socket, a T30 star socket, a socket wrench, and unsurprisingly a BMW R1250GS. So the removal of this is not essential at all, and in fact it's not even necessary, but I just think it's going to give me a little bit more space to work. It will save this getting scratched, and it's 4 bolts. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is remove the rear seat. Simply a case of inserting the key, turning it to the rear, lifting it slightly, pulling forward and lifting off, and there is a lug which ultimately to replace fits in there, slides back and then clips into the locking mechanism there, which as we turn the key you'll see moves. Remove the key so it doesn't get snapped. Similar with the front, turn the key the opposite direction, lift up and pull backwards, and there you go. So next we're going to have to remove this plate here, which is the plate that houses ordinarily the Vario panniers, which I'm replacing with these panniers from Bullshift. It's a really straightforward process to remove. There's 4 star head bolts, there and there, and they're all T40. So that's the rear one, and there's the front one. So as you can see, the front one is longer than the rear. Front, rear. And the rear on the left hand side, same length. Now I replaced these and I put a little bit of Loctite on those, Loctite blue, when I previously used them, which is why they're a bit tough to take off. And then simply just lift off the frame. A bit of water there, just lift off the frame, and yeah, as I say, it's not essential at all when you're fitting the Bullshift panniers to take that the rear frame grab rails off, but I just think it is going to give me and afford me that little bit more space to work with and around. So we're also going to need an M6 Allen key, an M5 Allen key, a 10mm socket. Okay, so what do we get with the panniers when they arrive then? So I'll come on to the larger stuff in a minute, but this packet here is all your nuts and bolts that you're going to need. Now they're all hex head, which is as we know a bit of a pain because it means you've got to carry a second set of tools, but in reality, I mean, it's so insignificant, such a small amount of toolage, if you like that word, toolage, such a small amount of toolage, it's really not going to make that much difference at all. So what have we got in here? Okay, so just having a look at the pannier frame. Again, it's solid, nicely powder coated frame. Comes in black. The welds all look very good. Sturdy bit of kit. And those 4 pins that you can see around the frame, that's what the pannier slides onto. So just take a close look at the welding around there. Yeah, all looks pretty good. Okay then, so next stage is fitting the frame itself. I'm going to undo these 4 bolts. So, worth pointing out, front bolts, rear bolts, front long, rear short, front long, rear short. Okay, so you are going to have to loosen the bolts on each side, both bolts of the rear hanger on each side. And the reason for that is, the bottom one, we're going to put a spacer in, which is the horseshoe shaped spacer that comes in the package. The rear one is where we're going to be eventually sliding in this U-shaped part of our pannier frame. So I've picked up the wrong one here, but you get the idea. It's going to go in there like that. So we need to just undo these by maybe 5 or so mil. Now I have done these before I've started this video, simply because I knew they'd be tight and it would be rather tedious to watch the bolt being undone. But nonetheless, I'm going to make you do it anyway. Yeah, that's sufficient. So I did bring out the 1/2 inch socket for this, just to give it a bit more leverage, but it doesn't need to be completely undone, but does need to be loosened off like that. Okay, I had the mudslinger in there, and the only way I'm going to be able to do this is by having removed the mudslinger. The simple reason being, you need to undo these bolts. Well, when the mudslinger's in there, you have no access to get to that. So you must, it's essential really, no other way of doing it, get the mudslinger out. And the difficulty with the mudslinger is you obviously can't get to the back of the nuts here, so I've had to remove that. It's only 4 cable ties, so it'll easily go back in. There we go. Yeah, so it's only 4 cable ties, so it'll easily go back in. Let me just reposition here. So you're looking to put that part in the gap there, like so, and bring that across. So yeah, just there we go, just in. And remembering, long on the front, short on the back. Objective here clearly is not to cross thread, so let's go for the easy option first at the front. There we go, that's just biting in a little bit, and use the other side as a guide. There we go, same on the other side. Now I might just need to smidge these down a little bit more here, I think. Yeah, there we go. So in, just rubs as it goes over. You'll see I've got had the Vario panniers on before, so just like so. There we go, just like so. Remembering, short at the back, long at the front. always the trick is to, there we go, first one straight in, and then this one. There we go, that's found it straight away. So that's the two sides on. Obviously I'm going to put this piece on here in a moment. Won't do those up just yet. Okay, so just before I do that, obviously need to put the horseshoe washer in this side. So just going to give myself a little bit more space to do that. Perhaps a bit too much space there. Just sufficient to get the horseshoe in. And just going to do that up just till it bites, not too much, but just till it bites. There we go. Okay, so we've not tightened everything up yet, it's still loose on both sides, and we're going to put the supporting bracket in here. Now this goes with one of the 10mm nuts. Okay, so let's just get these into place. And then the back one here. And then the front one here. There we go. So all fixed in there. Okay, so there we go. That's the frame. Everything's tightened up now. It really is rock solid on there. There's no movement at all. The brace tightened up nicely. That's the pannier rack. All these 4 bolts to either side are all tightened up. So it's now just a case of getting the grab rails back on. And I think you'll agree, it probably is easier to take those grab rails off. Just gives you a bit more space, and also the registration plate. I took it off. It's just given me that bit more room, bit more manageability, and I haven't scraped my hand in the process. Okay, so this fitting the top box looks really straightforward. You'll see I've popped the grab rails back on. Now these are the BMW grab rails that were fitted previously, and of course this plate here is good for the vario luggage, which I don't really want to get rid of, but I'm looking forward to having this aluminium stuff. So straightforward, 4 T30 bolts here. Now if you don't have the grab rails like I have, and you just got the original plate, the much smaller plastic plate, it doesn't matter, because those 4 T30 bolts are in exactly the same place. So first thing to do is to remove these 4 T30 bolts. What we now need is the 4 5mm Allen key bolts and the 4 spacers, and the spacers are going to sit in the recesses of each of these fittings that we've just taken off. So then, very straightforward, take the plate, line it up, and make sure it's lined up obviously with all 4 holes, which mine wasn't then. So for the GS I'm using these 2 front ones and the 2 inner rear ones. Now these rear ones have got obviously a bit of leeway there, so I think I'm going to just put one of those in first. Put those back ones in first rather, like that. Front ones like so. So there's 4 Allen key, 5mm Allen key fittings are in. This is where the box is going to fit onto. Got some nice options here for tie downs. Pannier racks, nice and tight. I've been round, double checked all those bolts. So it's just now a case of, I think, getting the number plate back on and getting the boxes on to see what they look like.